What's going on, Gator Nation? Here to bring you another commitment video. This one in the form of offensive tackle Mike Williams out of Maryland, who just committed to the Gators a few days ago. I'm going to go ahead and start the highlights here, and then we'll get into kind of his ranking and all that fun stuff. But essentially, what we're going to see here is just a massive specimen, 6'7", 310, according to his 247 profile. You can see on that last highlight there, he's pretty nimble, I guess you would say, for a guy's size. You can see he's got the size. I mean, he has big legs, moves his feet well. Actually gets pretty solid leverage for how tall he is. 6'7", 6'6". I think it says 6'5" on 3. There you can see him bullying a middle school kid right there. Not sure why he's playing against the middle schooler, but essentially that's what it looks like. I'm sure that kid's actually like 5'10" or something, but this guy is just a giant. If you have any questions about his actual size, I mean, number one, if Florida's recruiting him and taking his commitment, you can guarantee he's going to have verified size. And he definitely has it. I mean, look how much bigger he is than everybody on this field, throwing pancakes left and right out there, probably eating them too before the game, so if I had to guess. A little bit of a joke there, but you can see he's got pretty good footwork. I mean, he carries his weight decently enough. He's gonna go into a college program. I'm not. He definitely doesn't look sloppy. I don't want to say. You can see he's got the thick legs that carry into his weight. It's not like he's got like a sloppy upper body. That's most of his weight, and then his legs are chicken legs like some kids out there. You see those 300-pounders in high school that just have all that baby fat still. I mean, this guy looks like he's fed well. He looks like he's already got some tree trunks for legs, I guess you could call it. Essentially, he's got an NFL build almost already. Just maybe obviously he needs to fine tune his body, but he's been showing in this clip, man. He moves decent enough. You can see he's definitely a high level Division I prospect. Now we'll get into his ranking here in a second, and I know a lot of you already know his ranking because a lot of people have been complaining about it because obviously he's a 3-star. But I mean, if anything, we'll talk about it in a second. The hardest position to evaluate to me outside of quarterback is the offensive tackle position. It's just so difficult to be able to tell how good a kid is going to transition to the next level. And the one thing that you cannot teach is this size that this kid has right here in this highlight tape. Obviously, there's other kids that are this size. There's other kids that are higher rated that are similar sized. But for whatever reasons, Florida felt like this kid was good enough to go ahead and take now, whether or not it was they didn't feel good enough about other kids that they were on their board, or whether or not they just felt like this guy's obviously going to be a really good run blocker. You can see it in the highlight tape. He gets low, he's violent, he moves his feet well, he gets in and out of his sets decent enough. I'm not seeing a number 1200 or 1300 ranked national player here. And I know I say this in most of my videos where Florida's recruit is ranked too low or whatever it may be. But, I mean, in this case, I mean, I get him being a 3-star just because, I mean, I do understand he doesn't move as well as maybe like a 5-star guy would move. But, I mean, when you're factoring in this size, this ability to move his feet, ability to throw a mean punch with his hands, use his length with his arms and you can see there he kind of blocks awkwardly at times. He kind of lets guys get into him a little too much, which is it's gonna be a lot different for him when he plays against guys that are bigger and faster, letting guys get into him like that. Like that one as well. He needs to get a little more extended there. And I'm not an expert in the offensive line by any means. So don't let me fool you just because I'm talking about his highlight video here. But just from what I see and what I know about the offensive line position, he's going to need to use his hands a little bit better than he does. He kind of gets into guys with his body a bit too much. There's nothing wrong with that if you're bigger than a kid. Obviously, it's going to have a hard time getting around you. But when it comes to going against guys that are similar size or stronger or stronger than you, older than you, more physical than you, he's gonna get tossed around, and just regardless of his weight, he's gonna get some kid that comes up into his chest and throws him back. Probably the first day of practice, I would imagine, unless he kind of works on these technique, and that's where Rob Sell and Darnell Stapleton come into play. Those guys have really proven At least at least Rob Sell's time in Louisiana. I think he's got something like 4 or 5 kids in the NFL just from Louisiana on the offensive line. So imagine what he's going to be able to do with guys like this kid, where he wouldn't have been able to land him at Louisiana, and because this kid was still getting recruited by bigger Division I schools. South Carolina. I know he decommitted from South Carolina, or they decommitted from him, whatever you want to call it. I don't know exactly what happened there. But either way, other schools are after him. I think we'll look at it in a second. But I mean, look how tall this kid is, man. He is all of 6'6". I mean, I don't. 6'7" is not the accurate height, unless all these kids he's playing against are 5'8" or 5'7". This kid has to be like 6'6" at minimum. But there's a lot of positive things on this video, that at least I see the upside. You can see him chopping his feet there. He not the greatest of footwork there. Whenever he actually got into his block, he kind of lost his weight shift there, or whatever you want to call it. But regardless, I mean, you can see the massive potential he has. Like, that is absolutely undeniable. Here we are. We're going to look at his 247 profile here. As we have mentioned before, he is a very low-ranked 3-star. But you can see South Carolina offered him. Let's see who else offered. Allegedly, had a Miami offer. I mean, just because it shows an offer doesn't mean they actually offered. You see USC down here. You see Tennessee offered. Now, he wasn't talking about visiting these schools, so how interested were they actually in him? Who knows? The in-state school Maryland offered him. And then some other big school. West Virginia is another, larger Division I school in Michigan State. So, even though it was a low ranking, it's not like he didn't have other people pursuing him, or at least other decent programs pursuing him. So if this staff feels comfortable enough taking a kid who's 6'7", 310 pounds, as you can see right there, I don't know why you would be upset, other than you just want to stargaze, and that's fine. I mean, it's proven to be successful. The higher rated kids that you get, the better your team off is overall. But at the end of the day, even the best classes in the country are still gonna have 7, 8, 9 3-stars, however many it may be. And Florida's not looking great for any super high ranked kids at the moment, but they're still gonna finish the class with primarily 4-stars and some 3-stars. And there's nothing wrong, to me, unless you felt super confident that you were gonna take some other kids we'll look at here in a second, which I doubt anyways, because how often do you hit on your top 3 or 4 kids? Very few schools do that, and Florida's not really in position to do that at the moment. So I have no problem with them taking him right now. I guess I need to change his weight. There you can see Mike Williams, and the only reason he's going to be rated this low is because of his rating. He's the number 100 overall kid on the board, and that's just kids that I've put on here that Florida has offered. He's got a 5.4 score on the Gator Rater. So proximity is affecting his score as well. Talent, obviously, that's a very bad talent score. He only gets a 1 out of 10. And his impact, I gave him a 6.5, just because I do like his size, and I do have trust in Rob Sell and Darnell Stapleton to develop the kids that they see the upside in. And I saw the upside as well. There's a lot to work on with him. And the good thing is they're not going to need him to be on the field next year. They're not even going to probably need him on the field in 2 years. So we're talking about 3 years down the line. A 6'7" kid who's been developed for 3 years, hopefully. Billy Napier and everybody's still around. The upside is massive. And just like him, just his overall size, he's massive. But the upside is massive as well. So there you can see number 100 on the board. He's going to be our last rated commit as well. Not surprising, just with the fact that he is so low rated on the recruiting industry versus the kids that they have committed right now that are all pretty high committed. So he's going to be the lowest rated commit. It is what it is. Let's go look at the roster here, kind of break it down and see what he's going to be looking like when he arrives. And obviously there are going to be some other kids that commit. You can see here he's probably going to play tackle. So we got Austin Barber, and right now I have Keontae Goodwin projected to start at tackle. So you're looking at 2 sophomores, and like I mentioned, if you only have, you have 2 sophomores starting at tackle, that means both of them will be here for at least 2 more years. Austin Barber's a redshirt sophomore, so I mean, if he has an insanely good season, he could go pro, and it'd be 1 more season. But I expect Barber to stick around. So you're looking at your starting tackles for 2 more years. You got Damian George and Jordan Herman. Herman's another kid that the staff, very large, which is just what they like doing, and that is why they have the largest offensive line in the entire nation, or at least in the SEC, I assume the nation. I've done the numbers for the SEC, and they do have the largest offensive line and defensive line in the entire country. So it makes perfect sense. You see guys that make it to the NFL who are 3 stars from smaller schools or 2 stars from smaller schools all the time. And that is because, number one, they are massive humans. And number two, the coaching gets them to that next level, that unlocks something you can't teach whenever you're 6'8", 6'7", and, you have a crazy wingspan and are extremely strong. It just gives you a natural advantage, especially in a physical game like football. And that's exactly what Florida is doing along the offensive line and along the defensive line. They're taking the NFL approach. They are factoring in how tall someone is, how much someone weighs, what kind of arm length they have, how well they move for their size. And it's not going to matter if that kid's a 3-star on a recruiting website. If they see the upside, just like the NFL sees the upside, then what are we getting mad about? Who cares, man? Like, we have to get to that point where we are dependent in this staff. Rob Sell's proven a lot. He's been an NFL coach. From all accounts in New York, he did a good job in the NFL for the Giants. This guy has developed everywhere that he has been. So who are we to say just because he's a 3-star on a website, he's not going to develop into a starter and an NFL player one day? I get the numbers can say otherwise, but I guarantee you if somebody ran the numbers in the NFL for kids that are either starting or backups in the NFL right now, I bet you there are going to be a significantly amount more players that were low-rated 3-stars than 5 stars and 4 stars. I might be wrong, but I'd be willing to wager that I'm right. But yeah, then we have a couple more tackles we took in last year's class. We got Bryce Levette and Caden Jones from last year. There are some high upside kids as well. But I mean, like I said, Cameron Waits is a tackle as well. Another just giant human being. He's going to be out for this entire season. But, he'll take a medical redshirt, I assume, and he'll still have 2 years. There's a lot of depth at tackle, and there's a lot of big kids at tackle as well. So there's going to be a ton of options. If you're that concerned about this kid's rating, there's going to be plenty of other options. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, taking this kid this early, and I do think he has some solid upside. But yeah, that'll be it for this video for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. I'll be posting another video here in the near future of another commit that Florida just got, and hopefully there's going to be a couple more names out there that are rumored to be committing this weekend that we'll be posting some more videos of as well. If you could please like and subscribe, that helps me out a lot. And as always, I appreciate anybody who tunes in and watches me throughout this entire video. Thanks, guys, and go Gators.